What if one of the most important messages God is trying to send you is coming while you sleep? Most people think dreams are just random images, fragments of the mind, nothing more than thoughts drifting through the night. But the Bible tells a very different story. Again and again, God spoke through dreams to warn, guide, and prepare his people for what was coming. In fact, some of the most important moments in biblical history happened because someone paid attention to a dream. Think about Joseph, who received visions that revealed the future of nations, or Daniel, who interpreted dreams that carried messages from heaven itself. Even in the New Testament, God warned people through dreams to protect his plan. But here is the frightening truth. Today, many Christians experience dreams that carry meaning, yet they ignore them. They wake up, shake it off, and move on with their day, never realizing that what they saw during the night might have been a spiritual warning, a call to change direction, or a sign that something important is about to happen in their life. Not every dream is from God, but some are. And when God speaks, ignoring the message can be dangerous. Throughout Scripture, God sometimes used dreams to reveal hidden dangers, expose spiritual battles, or prepare someone for a major turning point. These dreams often carried signs, patterns that revealed they were not ordinary. So the real question is this: what if God has already tried to speak to you, and you didn't recognize it? In this video, we are going to uncover the signs that a dream may carry a message from God, and why many believers miss these warnings completely. Because if God is trying to reach you, you don't want to ignore it. Long before modern technology, before messages could travel instantly across the world, God had another way of reaching people. He spoke in the silence of the night. Throughout the Bible, dreams were not treated as meaningless thoughts or random images. They were often moments when heaven touched earth, when God revealed something that could not yet be seen with human eyes. One of the clearest examples is the story of Joseph. As a young man, Joseph had dreams that seemed impossible. In those dreams, he saw his family bowing before him. At the time, it made no sense. In fact, the dream angered his brothers so much that they eventually betrayed him and sold him into slavery. For years, it looked like the dream meant nothing. Joseph was taken to a foreign land. He was falsely accused. He was thrown into prison. Everything in his life seemed to move further away from the future he had seen in that dream. But Joseph did something many people fail to do today. He remembered the dream. He did not dismiss it. He did not treat it as a strange coincidence. Instead, he trusted that God had a purpose behind it, even when the situation around him made no sense. Years later, those dreams were fulfilled in a way no one could have imagined. Joseph rose from prison to become the second most powerful man in Egypt. During a devastating famine, his brothers came before him asking for food and unknowingly bowed exactly as the dream had shown. What seemed impossible became reality. Joseph's story reveals an important truth. Sometimes God shows you something long before it happens. But Joseph was not the only one. Another powerful example is the prophet Daniel. Daniel was known for interpreting dreams that kings and rulers could not understand. These dreams carried messages about the rise and fall of kingdoms, the future of nations, and the plans of God unfolding through history. In those moments, dreams were not entertainment. They were revelation. Even in the New Testament, God continued to communicate through dreams. A man named Joseph, the earthly guardian of Jesus Christ, was warned in a dream to flee with the child and his mother because danger was coming. That dream saved a life. If Joseph had ignored it, history might have unfolded very differently. This pattern appears again and again throughout Scripture. When God had something important to reveal, sometimes he chose the quiet hours of the night. But here is where things become interesting. The Bible never says that God stopped speaking this way. Yet today, many believers dismiss their dreams immediately. They assume they mean nothing. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if, sometimes, the night is one of the moments when God is trying to get your attention the most? In the next part, we will look at something that many Christians overlook completely: the signs that a dream might not be ordinary at all. Not every dream carries a message. Many dreams are simply the mind processing the events, emotions, and thoughts of the day. They can feel strange, random, or confusing, and by the time morning comes, most of them fade away quickly. But sometimes, a dream feels completely different. Instead of being chaotic or meaningless, it feels unusually clear. The images seem vivid, the message feels focused, and when you wake up, the memory of the dream remains strong. You remember the details. You remember the emotions. And something about the experience stays with you long after the night has passed. Many people who experienced meaningful dreams in the Bible described this same feeling. These dreams did not disappear easily. They left an impression so strong that the person could not simply ignore them. One of the most famous examples again comes from the life of Joseph. When Joseph received his dreams as a young man, they were not vague or confusing. They were clear and symbolic. He saw specific images, bundles of grain bowing down, stars, and the sun showing honor. The message was powerful enough that he remembered it and spoke about it openly. Another example appears in the story of Daniel when he interpreted dreams that troubled kings and rulers. These dreams were so intense that the kings could not sleep peacefully afterward. They knew something about the dream was important, even if they could not understand it yet. That sense of urgency was part of the message. Dreams that carry meaning often leave behind a feeling that something about them matters. You may wake up feeling unsettled, thoughtful, or deeply curious. The dream may replay in your mind again and again, almost as if your heart is telling you not to forget it. In some cases, the dream may even feel more real than the dreams you normally experience. But there is another important detail. Meaningful dreams often contain symbols rather than direct explanations. Throughout the Bible, God frequently used symbolic images, objects, animals, natural events, or unusual situations to communicate deeper truths. These symbols required reflection and sometimes wisdom to understand. This is why people like Daniel became known for interpreting what others could not see clearly. The dream itself was the message, but the meaning behind it needed to be uncovered. So if you ever experience a dream that feels unusually vivid, one that stays with you long after you wake up, one that carries a sense that it might matter, it may be worth paying attention. Because sometimes the first sign that a dream could carry spiritual meaning is simple. It refuses to be forgotten. And in the next part, we will explore another sign that many people overlook, one that often appears when a dream carries a deeper message than it first seems. Another sign that a dream might carry deeper meaning is when it repeats. Most ordinary dreams happen once and disappear. You may forget them within minutes of waking up, and they rarely return again in the exact same way. But sometimes a dream comes back. The same scene, the same message, the same feeling. It may happen a few nights later, or even weeks apart. Yet when it appears again, you immediately recognize it. It feels familiar. In the Bible, repetition was often a powerful signal that something important was being revealed. One of the clearest examples appears in the story of Joseph when he interpreted the dreams of Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt. Pharaoh dreamed about 7 healthy cows being swallowed by 7 thin cows. Then he had another dream where 7 strong heads of grain were consumed by 7 withered ones. At first, these seemed like 2 different dreams. But Joseph explained something remarkable. He told Pharaoh that the dreams were actually one message repeated twice, and the repetition meant that the matter had been firmly decided by God and would happen soon. The repetition was not accidental. It was confirmation. The same principle appears in other places throughout Scripture. When something is repeated, it often means the message is important enough that it should not be ignored. In the story of Samuel, God called his name several times during the night before Samuel finally realized who was speaking to him. The repetition was meant to capture his attention. In the same way, a repeating dream can sometimes feel like a gentle knock on the door of your awareness. Not every repeating dream carries a spiritual message. Some may simply reflect worries or thoughts that remain in your mind. But when a dream repeats with unusual clarity, or when the same message appears again and again despite different circumstances in your life, it can be a moment worth reflecting on. Ask yourself questions. What emotions were present in the dream? What symbols appeared? Did the dream seem to point toward a warning, a decision, or a change? Sometimes the meaning becomes clearer over time. And sometimes the repetition itself is the message, an invitation to slow down and pay attention to something you might otherwise overlook. Because throughout history, some of the most important messages were not spoken loudly. They were whispered more than once until someone finally listened. In the next part, we will look at another powerful sign that many believers overlook. one that appears when a dream carries a warning about something ahead. Sometimes, a dream is not only memorable or repeated, it carries a sense of warning. You wake up with a feeling that something in the dream was trying to alert you. The images may not always be clear, but the emotion is strong. Urgency, caution, or a quiet sense that something important should not be ignored. Throughout the Bible, God occasionally used dreams to warn people before danger appeared. One powerful example can be found in the life of Joseph, the earthly guardian of Jesus Christ. After the child Jesus was born, a ruler named Herod became afraid that a new king had arrived. In his fear, he planned a terrible act that would threaten the life of the child. But before that danger could reach them, Joseph received a dream. In that dream, he was warned to take Mary and the child and leave immediately. The message was clear: escape to Egypt until the danger had passed. Joseph listened. He did not ignore the dream or delay his decision. That very night, he took his family and traveled to safety. Because he paid attention to the warning, the child was protected. This moment reveals something important. Sometimes dreams are not meant to predict the future in detail. Instead, they simply draw attention to a danger that requires wisdom and caution. Another example appears in the story of Abimelech. After unknowingly taking Sarah, the wife of Abraham, into his household, Abimelech received a dream from God warning him about the situation. The dream caused him to immediately correct his actions before greater harm could occur. Again, the purpose of the dream was protection. These stories show that when God chooses to communicate through a dream, the message is often connected to guidance, correction, or warning. But there is an important balance to remember. Not every disturbing or emotional dream is a message from God. Human fears, stress, and imagination can also create powerful dreams. That is why wisdom, prayer, and reflection are important before assuming a dream carries spiritual meaning. Yet sometimes a dream leaves behind a very specific feeling, one that pushes you to reconsider a decision, examine a relationship, or slow down before moving forward. When that happens, it may be wise not to dismiss the experience too quickly, because in some moments throughout history, the difference between danger and safety came down to one simple choice. Someone chose to listen to the warning. In the next part, we will explore another sign that appears in certain dreams, one that often points toward a major turning point or change ahead. Sometimes a dream does not simply feel vivid, repeated, or urgent. Sometimes it points toward change. You may wake up with the sense that something in your life is about to shift. The dream may show a journey, a new place, a closed door, or the beginning of something unfamiliar. Even if the symbols are not completely clear, the feeling behind the dream suggests that a new direction may be approaching. In the Bible, many dreams appeared right before a major turning point in someone's life. One well-known example is again the story of Joseph. When Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dreams about the 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine, the message was not simply information about the future. It was a call to prepare. The dream revealed that Egypt needed to change its actions immediately. Food needed to be stored. Plans needed to be made. Without that preparation, an entire nation would face disaster. Because the dream was understood and acted upon, Egypt survived a famine that affected the entire region. In that moment, a dream became the starting point of a massive shift in history. Another example can be seen in the life of Jacob. While traveling alone, Jacob dreamed of a ladder reaching between earth and heaven, with angels moving between the two. When he awoke, he realized the place was sacred and that God was revealing something about the path ahead of him. That moment marked a turning point in Jacob's understanding of his relationship with God. These examples reveal an important pattern. Sometimes a dream does not give every detail about what will happen next. Instead, it simply signals that a new season is approaching. The dream may encourage someone to move forward with courage, reconsider a choice, or prepare for responsibility that has not yet arrived. But there is also another important truth. A dream pointing toward change does not always mean the change will be easy. In the case of Joseph, the dream about his future leadership came long before the years of hardship he experienced in slavery and prison. The dream showed the destination, but the journey required patience, faith, and endurance. This is why understanding a dream often takes time. Sometimes the meaning becomes clear only after events begin to unfold. But when a dream carries the sense that life may be moving toward a new chapter, it can be a reminder that God often prepares people before the change arrives. And in the final part, we will explore one more sign that may reveal whether a dream carries spiritual meaning, something that many people overlook completely when they wake up in the morning. One of the most important signs that a dream may carry spiritual meaning is not just what you see in the dream, but what it leads you to do afterward. When people in the Bible experienced moments where God revealed something to them, whether through dreams, visions, or encounters, it often produced the same response. They turned their attention toward God. The dream did not simply leave them curious. It stirred something deeper inside them. It made them reflect, pray, or seek understanding. A powerful example appears in the life of Jacob. When Jacob dreamed of a ladder reaching from earth to heaven with angels ascending and descending, he woke up with a profound realization. He said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." The dream did not just show him something mysterious. It changed the way he saw God's presence in his life. In response, Jacob built a memorial and dedicated that place to God. The dream led him toward faith. Another example appears again in the story of Joseph when he received guidance in a dream to protect the child Jesus Christ. Joseph did not simply wake up and forget the experience. He responded with obedience. That response is important. Dreams that carry true spiritual meaning often lead people toward greater awareness of God, not away from Him. They encourage reflection, humility, prayer, or a desire to understand God's will more clearly. By contrast, ordinary dreams often fade without leaving any lasting impact. They may feel strange or emotional in the moment, but they do not lead to deeper reflection about faith or life. This is why the effect of the dream can sometimes reveal more than the dream itself. If a dream causes you to pause and examine your life, if it leads you to pray or seek wisdom, if it reminds you to place your trust in God again, then the experience may be doing something valuable, even if the exact meaning is not immediately clear. But there is also an important balance. The Bible encourages believers to seek wisdom, remain grounded in Scripture, and avoid assuming that every unusual experience carries a divine message. Faith is not built on dreams alone. Yet history shows that sometimes, during quiet moments when the world is asleep, God has chosen to speak in ways that are unexpected. And for those who pay attention, those moments can become reminders that God is still guiding, still warning, and still working in ways we do not always see. Sometimes, even in a dream. Dreams have fascinated people for thousands of years. Some are ordinary, shaped by our thoughts, our worries, and the events of our day. But throughout the Bible, there are moments when dreams carried something deeper, moments when God chose the quiet hours of the night to reveal guidance, protection, or truth. From the visions given to Joseph, to the warnings that protected the family of Jesus Christ, dreams sometimes became the moment when heaven gently touched the life of an ordinary person. But Scripture also reminds us to walk with wisdom. Not every dream is a message. Not every symbol carries spiritual meaning. Faith is not built on chasing signs, but on trusting God and seeking His truth. Yet there are moments when a dream leaves something behind, a feeling that refuses to disappear, a message that repeats, a warning that makes you pause, or a sense that God may be drawing your attention to something important. And when that happens, the best response is not fear, but reflection. Take time to pray. Ask God for wisdom. Ask Him for clarity. Because sometimes the purpose of the dream is not simply to show the future, but to bring your heart closer to Him. So tonight, when the world grows quiet and you close your eyes, remember something important. God does not always speak in thunder. Sometimes, He speaks in whispers. And sometimes, those whispers arrive in a dream.